Hello, everyone. Today, if you're tuning in, you are super, super lucky because we have a very interesting topic with a very knowledgeable person, Spencer King. Hello, Spencer.
How are we doing?
So, Spencer is a coach who knows a lot about dysfunction in athletes. So, Spencer, tell us a little bit about what that means and what you do.
So I coach athletes and like ex-athletes
Mhm.
who kind of look healthy on paper, but feel broken on the inside. Um, it can range to like I have a lot of like Gen Pop people as well, but it's a lot of people that come to me that are doctors have not helped them, or they have these weird issues where they've been told they're healthy and they can't really explain it. So I like to do a deep dive and kind of go into like where they started and then we get them back to functioning where they should be.
What are the most common issues you see with athletes?
Gut health, pretty much everything is related back to gut health or some type of nervous system dysregulation. If we can look at that in terms of was it where it all stems from, it usually can get fixed with a lot simpler tools than most people think.
Awesome. Yeah, Brittany, I've met Spencer, but Brittany, I'm surprised you haven't because I met him at the Arnold last year. He was working, your Erin Murray's nutrition coach, who we had her on. And if you guys remember, everyone listening, she went through a lot of weight cut and a weight gain and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but I just thought that was well, I remember the moment we met too. I had just gotten off the stage from doing my axle clean and press,
Yeah,
and it would not go well at all. But it was nice to chat
yeah. I
after
felt
that
so
moment.
bad. I felt so bad talking to you after that because you were gassed, and then Gary was just sitting there smiling like she's so tired, bro. It's fine.
Yeah, it was just, you know, a day, you know how it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, at that time, I just saw you as someone, not only knew you because you coached nutrition for Erin Murray. I followed you, but it wasn't until the last few months I saw more. And it's maybe because if you guys go follow Spencer, um, you'll see he has like videos where he talks about gut health and he makes it kind of fun, like he wears mustaches, fake mustaches and stuff. So maybe I just noticed it then, but did you change your content at all over the last few months or what you were talking about, or even in general, focusing more on gut health with your clients, or is that something you've always done?
It hasn't been something that it's always been in the background. I've always cared about it, but it now bringing it to the forefront of like finding out that this is probably one of the main drivers of a lot of dysfunctions as a whole. In the last, like, I'd say 3 to 4 months, I've been really focused on pushing that out because if we can fix those issues, they'll normally fix all the other issues that the athlete or whoever is struggling with them has happened.
And with gut health, isn't it typically something that people won't realize that's what's wrong and they're using band-aids to cover up X, Y, and Z? Is that what you see a lot of? Like people are taking so much because they don't realize that the problem, not that gut health is simple, but compared to what they're trying to fix, if they
Mm-hmm.
fix their gut before everything else, it'd be easier. Because that's just something I tend to see in people, and learning more about gut health is interesting because it's like, okay, is that really the problem? Not this.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Like it goes back to brain fog, it goes back to like arthritis, it goes back to all different types of things that you wouldn't think are like general inflammation issues, right? I think that's where a lot of it just can all always lead back to.
Yeah, I think too, it's just interesting because I think I'm a little dysfunctional, a dysfunctional athlete, but it's one of those things we kind of gaslight ourselves as athletes that it's like normal or
Yeah.
because we're tough, we're used to pushing through the pain,
Hmm.
until one day you might realize like, wow, like I feel like crap. Is that kind of the clients that are coming to you are like?
This is like, yeah, 100%. It's every athlete that I've met is so good at just driving the hammer down as much as possible, but they're not good at being like, "Oh, man, I need to slow down a little bit." Like every athlete is so amazing at, like, oh yeah, I can beat myself to a pulp, but like when I don't know when to stop, or like why do I feel like crap? I haven't taken a rest day in like 20 days, right? Oh, what? Well, there you go. There's the real reason.
Right. What's like the most common, I guess you already said the gut health, but between strength athletes and bodybuilders, do you see
Ooh.
similar types of dysfunction or any patterns or just depends?
It really depends. So, like normally with bodybuilders, the first thing of dysfunction is it's gut, because they are used to not eating a lot for competition prep, and then they abuse stimulants. And so the gut gets all messed up from all that stimulant use, and then we have to kind of regrade back with nervous system regulation. And then with strength athletes, it's a burnt out CNS 10 times out of 10, because they're pushing for such high weights and pushing such hard progression over time. Like for strongman, Christy, like the weights that they have for the Arnold are insane. And so you're having to constantly keep up with this. And then, of course you get a deload, but half the time the deload, depending on if it's a week or longer, it's not enough. Right. So they're just taxing the CNS left and right.
Yeah. We don't really think about how that affects our body long term, though. We just think about the muscle recovery and, all of that. Brittany's done both strongman and bodybuilding.
Mm.
I'm curious, Brittany, what you think, how you feel differently. Do you feel any different between the two from the training and process?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting with strongman. Definitely felt more of that CNS fatigue, but I always think now with bodybuilding, I'm in more of a chronic stress state because of just being having more businesses, more responsibilities. So I sometimes wonder, because sometimes I still think now, I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm training strongman. Like with my, because I squat usually 3 days a week. Lately, I've had to take another rest day, but I kind of feel similar. So I'm really interested to hear more about your CNS fatigue. Because like I said, I haven't had any gut issues. I've always been pretty regular. It's something I've tracked for clients. Then started tracking myself, and it's odd if I ever do have like a couple of days where I feel weird, like
Mhm.
with my gut, or if something's not normal. I start kind of freaking out. That actually happened to me a couple days ago. But lately, I've always had a big appetite, and post show, I've been having a lot of trouble gaining weight. I'm still at my stage weight, and I'm like never really that hungry. So I'm like, is something wrong with my gut? What's going on? So I'm interested to hear more. But what I wanted to ask you too is, when these athletes come to you, do you have a typical questionnaire that you go down to try and figure out like what's wrong with them, or do you look at labs?
That's a very good question. If they have labs, I'll do it, but a lot of my stuff is based on like general biofeedback, right? So I'll hop on a call with them, and then I can tell by like how their face is, their structure, what their demeanor is like, how they're talking, and all of the little things like that they're telling me. Like I had a call the other day that they said the food was coming out of them whole. I'm like, there is my red flag right there. Like you don't got to tell me anything else than that,
Yeah.
right? So I like the intake form is more of like a general questionnaire, getting to know the person, making sure that like we'll work well together, and then from there the call is like that's where I figure out where it is, because you can, I mean, you guys both know, you guys are both coaches. You can look at someone and be like, no, yeah, I know what's wrong with you.
Yeah. Spencer, I see on your stories all the time screenshots from your clients saying, I pooped today or
Yeah,
regularly every day. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God, like, it takes a lot of like trust and like, I guess you're just like all of a sudden now you're like the poop guy where you're getting so much information. I mean, I get overshared too all the time and that kind of stuff is
Mm,
important. Um, but it just makes me laugh because it's probably just so normal for you and it's important part of it. But, we all started as, I know a lot of us have done personal training and stuff like that
mhm.
before. And it's one of those things that's interesting is when like, let's say someone's not getting results and, you're not asking them about their digestion really, usually, at least when we first started personal training. It's just
Yeah.
interesting how you're like, um, just knowing things kind of opens it up and give your clients more results too. But I just, every time I see that, um, I laugh because I talk about digestion with my clients
Mhm.
too, but I'm not go able to go super deep with them. But I always kind of feel awkward being like, "Do you poop every day?" But
Oh no, that's like the like for my in-person people too, when I do talk to them, I'm like, you don't look like you poop every day. What's going on there? So
oh my
that's
God, what makes
normally
someone not
Yeah,
look
how
like
do
they
you
poop every
yeah,
day? I was
yeah.
kind of scared when you're like, I look at their face and how they talk, and I can know if they're gonna poop every day. And I'm like, oh no, like maybe I
uh,
didn't today.
So what are some telltale signs by looking at someone? Dive deeper on that because that
I
made
feel
me
like, are my
self-conscious
eyes
too.
getting browner? Like I'm just filling with poop, but
Are we inflamed?
yeah, usually inflamed is one thing, like puffy, like a rounder face, sometimes really pale too, because you know that they're like not absorbing nutrients.
yeah.
So like the biggest thing is if they look kind of like a porcelain doll and they're not wearing makeup, that's where I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. And then also too, if they're just like sluggish, they walk in the room and you're like, you're full of like not like literally you're full of shit, right? Like you look like you're full of shit. So it's that thing of like when you look at someone or when I look at someone, I'm just like, oh yeah, they're probably having
Hmm.
a ton of issues pooping, unless they're like there's some people that are using like GLP-1s and stuff like that that are still not pooping, but they look a lot less inflamed because that's bringing down all of
Okay.
those inflammatory markers.
Well, let's talk about why it's important to poop. If what happens when that's just sitting there in you.
So when it's sitting there, endotoxins just continually like recirculate. So like the stomach is the first part of digestion, right? Then it goes down into the lower parts of your large intestine, small intestine, colon, all that fun stuff. Well, the digestion really happens after the stomach because that's when all the bile and all of the digestive acids start to break it down. Then it moves through you. So if it moves through you fast and digests fast, you're getting all of the great benefits of all the food that you're eating and none of the bad benefits because you're trying to excrete all of those out of you, right? And not necessarily saying that the poop is bad, but like if it stays in you long enough, then all of that stuff starts recirculating. That starts to tax all of the other systems because you have all of these basically systems that are reabsorbing shit that you're trying to get out of you. So when someone's backed up and they haven't gone for like 24 hours, 48 hours. I have someone that was pooping like once every week and a half, but it was like that was their real poop. They did like little rabbit turds. Um, that is massive amounts of like bodily inflammation that you're having to take so many things to get rid of.
Well, so I mean, how I guess it's a little bit obvious how this would impact performance, but like, for a long time, I never thought about gut health or anything. I never thought that about, um, you know, noticing how often I'm going to the bathroom, for example.
Mhm.
Why is that gut health important to an athlete?
That, there's so many ways I want to go with that.
Right.
Uh,
I know.
the biggest one is that 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. If you cannot produce enough serotonin, you're not going to be able to pay attention during training. You're not going to be able to make it through the day. You're not going to be able to recover. So that is where if everything gets clogged up and you're not registering and pushing all through those hormones, which are filtered through a lot of those systems, you're basically going to be the shittiest version of you as an athlete.
Mm. No,
do,
that makes a lot of sense.
do you find that sometimes it's a quick fix? Because what I've noticed, and again, not nearly as in depth as you, but sometimes just simple things like implementing a walk. If because a lot of people don't even never walk or never do cardio, especially strength athletes, simple things like that. Because what I do is I actually have people, and I'm sure you do the same, track the stool type, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll be like, what time of day was it? Because I want to see some consistency. And for me, I've been very lucky, and then I refer out if I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
with simple things like increasing fiber, doing the walks, getting sunlight, like very, very simple things that people forget that is important. Do you find often like it's a quick fix or do you have to go very, very in depth?
It depends on the person. So like
Okay.
if the severity, some people are really sensitive and they're like, oh, I have all these issues, right? And then it's all crazy. And then just like you said, Brittany, it's okay, go on a 10-minute walk. Oh, I pooped. Cool. Like it can be definitely as simple as that, but it depends on like the severity of the issue. There are people that don't even know that they have issues. So like I had a woman come to me because she wanted to get more on her like supplemental game, and she wanted to understand what she needed to and when she needed to take it, but she was getting injured all the time. Come to find out, she has probably breaking on like a terrible version of colitis that was causing all of these inflammatory markers, and she didn't even know that was happening. So I like to implement the like sunlight, maybe some red light, and like walking first for sure, and like cardio, doing all that stuff, moving everything through. And then if that's not driving anything enough, then we move into the harder stuff. But minimum effective dose, always, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, with I guess on the opposite side of like people, not having BMs every day, what about the opposite effect? I definitely know a lot of strength athletes and bodybuilders who like might have diarrhea multiple times a day. Like they kind of have
Yes.
the opposite problem. What's going on there?
So it depends on like I would have to look at like food, what food looks like. Sometimes it could be what they're eating. Like if they're having diarrhea all the time, they could be drinking too much caffeine. They could be having trouble digesting fats. So that's like an ox bile thing that you could add into their regime, right? You could look at what is their like stimulus, and like where is their like CNS at. Like, are they super regulated to where like someone walks in a room and they're like freaking out and shaking?
That's me.
Yeah, there you go. See,
Or
so
that
things
was
like that.
me. Yeah,
Yeah. Where did you have? So you had pretty bad central nervous system issues.
I did. I probably still do. I feel a lot better now, but I definitely, um, did. So I'm excited for us to also talk about the central nervous system. I know
Yeah.
Brittany
That's
is
definitely me.
too. Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a sign because I'm one of those people like if the wind blows loud at night, I'm up and alert, have my gun like ready to kill you.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
my partner's always like, it's okay. And I'm like, I've always been like that. So
yeah. Like my mom always like, what is wrong with you? She's like, if I get tapped on the shoulder, I'm like, ah, I get
yeah.
very like scared. But I can tell when I'm more regulated when that's not happening as much. Which right now it's not, which is good. Um, yeah, it's just interesting. And that might be everyone, like normal people too, not just athletes, but it's just interesting. Me and Brittany are both like that.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was like more of a personality thing.
Yeah, maybe.
it can be, but it's also a big regulation thing. So like going back to like kids trauma, all that stuff, you probably didn't feel safe at some point as a kid that like manifested and that went from somewhere. But like women, it's really interesting. You guys can take a lot of dysregulation before things get really bad. So like you'll be able to handle so much, whereas a guy, if he gets dysregulated like right away, he'll be like, what, why do I feel like shit, right? You guys are so much more resilient. Like you are able to grow and birth children, and you're able to do all these like magical miraculous things, so you've become more resilient over time. So that in turn makes it easier for you to feel like, oh, it's just normal for me to like kind of be on edge all the time and freak out.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like I've always been like that too. But, um, you talking about these things online and more so recently too, just hearing more about it and looking at comments and seeing how many people also are maybe anxious people are more on edge,
Mm.
um, does make me feel better, but does make me wonder if it's getting worse, in this day and age, or if was there something we're more comfortable talking about?
Mm, I think it's a bit of both. I feel like these beautiful things that we have really drive a lot of anxiety and fears, because like we can go online and see that someone's doing 10 times better than us, and that we have to work 8 times harder to get up to their level. And there's so many things that are telling us like we're not good enough. And that's why I don't know. I feel like that's why anxiety is at an all-time high. Of course, we are measuring and testing more things now, but I do think that the more we advance as a human race, the more tools we have to be anxious.
Yeah. The whole tool thing is a real double-edged sword too, because I know for me, it's great that we have data. It's great that we can look at labs, but sometimes it's almost like I feel like now that I'm more aware of more problems, it makes me feel overloaded. For example, I remember when Huberman was gaining a lot of traction and popularity back. I started maybe like 2021. And I remember feeling more anxious trying to implement some of the protocols. So I kind of just I take breaks from like learning about that stuff, because then
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, how can I possibly do 12 minutes of meditation a day, go in the sauna, do my morning walk? It's like it's impossible. Like I'm more anxious from it. So it's interesting that everything kind of goes back to like you pointed to your phone and the information overload, because it's really hard for people to kind of just take, it's like, okay, if I just do one thing because I want to, go to the bathroom regularly. It's like, what should I do? So yeah, the anxiety in today's age is definitely a huge problem, and it's only getting worse. So I hope it's something as a society. Now, it's not like they can regulate phone usage in adults, but I do
Mm.
wonder where society is going to go.
I do think that it's a beautiful thing with regulatory stuff. Most people, when they see the program that I initially give them, because I build it out in phases, the first 4 weeks are like, why is it so little? And I'm like, well, you're already doing like 90 things. If I throw a 30-page document at you, what do you think you're going to do? Right. So like for nervous system regulation, it's very like doing less and getting more out of it. So like for like you were talking about, Brittany, it's the walks, the sunlight, all that stuff to get that regulation, and staying away from the phone for a little bit. I do think that in the future we're going to have. Do you guys believe in the dead internet theory?
No. Well, I mean, I
I
don't know
don't
what
know
it
what
is.
I don't know what that is.
So it was this theory that we're going to get so far into the internet with AI and all of these tools that help us that there's not going to be any real people on the internet anyway. It's going to be all ads. They're all going to be bots, everything like that. So we're going to have this internet that's essentially dead and free floating with no one in it. And people are going to revert back to having in-person trainers or having more in-person talks, because the internet is going to be so fluffed up that it doesn't feel real anymore.
I already feel
I
like
can
it's
see that.
starting
Yeah.
to feel like that for me, where I see like even just things so filtered and AI'd out, like talking. I don't know if it's AI or a real person or not. And it does get kind of exhausting. Like it's not been as fun anymore. So I haven't been like spending, like wanting to spend as much time on it. Um, which is like kind of sad because that used to be like um, more fun, creative outlet, connecting with people.
Hmm.
But I'm kind of sick of it, so I
I
can kind
know.
of see that happening.
Envious of people that still like the internet. It used to be fun for me too.
Mm.
But anyway, let's before I know we kind of moved away from the gut into the central nervous system. We've got to go a little bit
Okay.
deeper in the central nervous system. But I said since see, I'm here like we're going to see have an actual consultation, but you know someone like me who's always had lower thyroid and always low motility of the gut. I want to just touch base on there because I mean, gut health is such a hot topic. Low thyroid is such a hot topic. Just wanted to know a little bit more how those were interconnected.
So your conversion of T3 to T4 happens in your gut. There are a lot of issues that arise when your gut is like essentially like clogged. So your pathways to be able to convert thyroid hormone aren't a thing. I have not yet met someone who has a thyroid or Hashimoto's or something like that that also doesn't probably have a gut issue too. Um, the biggest main driver to help heal that is sweating of some shape or form. Now, if you have Hashimoto's, you're tired all the time, or if you have like thyroid issues, you're exhausted all the time. So like that's not a real thing, right? We need to give you rest anyway. So like the sweating thing doesn't really work out. So like red light sauna, huge mover. It can literally continually help re-regulate your thyroid. If you have a red light as well, just putting it like around this area also can help boost thyroid function. But when we're looking at a clogged gut, you have to look at, are we going to put more things into a clogged system, or are we going to work around that? So that's where we look at the like subcutaneous injections. We look at the what's it called? The I can't remember the, or you put it in your lip. It's I have my the name is eluding me, but
Zen.
yeah, no, no, no.
Get things moving.
Yeah, that'll really get you going.
Yeah. So,
But it's not subcutaneous, but there we do things to work around that because that will help boost thyroid function, and then also we do like a clear out of the gut.
okay. You said the injection. You said, what'd you say? Was
Oh,
it?
subcutaneous injection. So like sub-Q injections, like the peptide route,
Okay.
or something of that nature. Because like if the gut is really damaged and we're not getting a lot of movement out of it, if the person doesn't want to do injections, they can do was it suppositories? They can do injections, or they can do the in the lip. It's getting into the vasculature of the lip where it absorbs through there instead of like the gut. So we're just bypassing those products to be able to heal.
And the things that you're putting in, that is to help you go to the bathroom more frequently, or it's help to boost thyroid function, or both,
Essentially
kind of.
both.
Because, okay.
Yeah. So like if we're looking at terms of like, say, for you, for example, right? We look at like what's maybe causing the route of the clogging or the gut dysfunction, and then we add something in to help the dysfunction, whether that's like a subdermal like rub on, or that's a subcutaneous injection, or something to be absorbed through the vasculature of the lip to help move the gut dysfunction along, and that will in turn help the thyroid. But we can also do short-term things to help the thyroid boost to just get your energy back as well. So that's
Hmm.
something like red light therapy or like sweating in the sauna to literally help get the toxins that are stuck in you out. Because if you have a thyroid problem, you're probably not pooping every day too, so you're looking at like keeping those toxins, like I was talking about, the endotoxins, they leach out, right? So the red light therapy and the sauna is leaching those out of your skin
Yeah.
because it's the next way.
Yeah. And I'm actually extremely happy that you said that, because I've been begging Gary for a sauna. The one thing though, does it have to be red light, or could it be just like a normal sauna?
It can be a normal sauna. I would the red light does help a lot, but if you have a red light already and you don't want to do
Yeah,
like
I have one right over there.
okay,
I do too,
because
yeah.
yeah, I'm sure, was it because you worked with Alex for a little bit, right, Christy?
Hmm.
So he probably had you get the red light.
Yeah, like luckily Gary already had it, but I'm not very good at that's not really part of my like normal habit protocol, but I need to do it. Um
Well, you guys get outside a lot, so like that's the
yeah,
other thing.
yeah. We're the yeah, I'm like Brittany, like I walk after every meal, we walk in the
Mhm.
morning, I get the sunlight. So, you know, all those boxes are checked for sure. But the thyroid talk kind of, I mean, a big reason too wanted to have you on is because I think I know I get so much content on my phone about like thyroid problem, this problem, this is low, you're estrogen dominant, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so people treat these things. Like, for example, I've treated my thyroid, but with T3 before, and we treat these things, and like there's no problem with treating this what's going on, but it's always something that like keeps me up at night, not really, but like keeps me searching during the day, is trying to find the root cause of my problem. Like, and what I've come to realize is a lot of it does come from gut dysfunction or central nervous system stuff. So I think it's just very important to be aware of this, that it's not just a trendy word or gut health, this and that. I mean, all your systems are connected. Everything's affecting everything. It's great if you can go to a specialist for something, but I've gotten all my labs done. Everyone's like, you're so healthy. You're an athlete. Look at you. And I'm like, I know, but I feel like shit. So there's something wrong, but where's it coming from? So I just want people to know if they're frustrated, it's, and maybe your endocrinologist says, your TSH is fine,
I
right?
hate that. I hate
So
that. Yeah.
like, so you don't have Hashimoto's, so whatever. There's still ways and people you can seek out, and education you can find that'll help you find the root cause of problem, which I still find very confusing as well. But
Mhm.
it is, there are, it's just a little bit more complicated than going, if if some doctors just said you're fine, you can still find maybe a root cause and do things that might make you feel better. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a hard thing is being told that you're fine, right? I didn't share this earlier, but the reason why I've pushed for gut health so hard recently is like I just really truly fixed an issue where they thought that I had cancer because I lost 40 pounds in a month from my gut
Oh my
dysfunction.
god.
And they gave me every scan, everything I do for like years, and it was driving anxiety. I'd never had anxiety in my life, like
Yeah.
all of these issues.
Yeah, of
And they were
course.
like, yeah, you're fine. Actually, like we can't tell anything's actually wrong with you at all. You're really healthy. I was like, really? Okay.
And that was when you lost 40 pounds in 30 days.
Yeah, it was insane. I remember my mom was driving me to the doctor appointment because like I could barely keep my eyes open. I was so tired. And this doctor was like, I'm going to order you every test. But like, I genuinely, like, he didn't say this, but he's just like, I genuinely don't know like what it is. Like they couldn't explain it. And gut dysfunction is really hard to explain. Like I might be knowledgeable in this, right? But like, I can't tell you for certain everything that's going on unless we open you up, right? I'm not a surgeon either. So I have no idea.
Yeah. Were you able to find out what happened to you, or is just you were frustrated, so you decided to learn more about it?
So I started working with like a coach, and he helped me, quite a bit. And then from there, it was he wasn't necessarily focused on the gut health. He was focused on trying to heal that. And then from there, I found out it was more of me just, being an athlete previously, beating myself to a pulp, work wise, and doing all these things, right? So my body was dysregulated. Anytime I had caffeine, I had this like weird stabbing pain in my head, and that was my nervous system and my vagus nerve going, "Hey, bro, we're good. We don't need any more of that. We're done." Right. So it came back to regulating my nervous system, calming down, and then I could do the work on my gut.
Can
Yeah.
we go through some of that just because, we're Christine and I don't want you to like analyze us or give
Oh
us
no,
a
you're good.
questionnaire on it, but a little bit about how can anyone incorporate some of that CNS stuff? Because I think that affects a lot of people, and you kind of just said you have to address that first
Mhm.
before the gut stuff, which I did not know.
So if you look at it the way of like, if your CNS is always like your sympathetic nervous system is always like up here and it's always freaking out, right? You never switch into parasympathetic, then if you try to heal a gut that's telling you to run from, historically we ran from tigers and bears and shit like that when we lived outside. We don't have that anymore. So those feelings come from anxiety and all of the other things that worry us. And so if we can't switch from flip that switch, then our gut health is going to continuously be bad, right? And that comes from like, I don't know if either of you have ever been like in a bad relationship. Your gut health gets wrecked when you're in a bad relationship because you're always worried and always anxious. Um, so sorry not to trail off too much, but um, for regulation, you guys are already both doing it. You're walking after meals. You're taking the time to like really sit and like kind of relax. But breathing before meals. If you cannot take the time, or if you can, try to like before you sit down and eat your food, breathe like 5 or 6 times deep nasal breathing. That'll kind of signal your gut that like, okay, I'm ready, I'm relaxed, I'm gonna eat. Um, I don't know if you guys chew your food like 20, 30 times. That's a huge
I do
one to
that,
actually
yeah.
regulate your
I
system.
just started that
Yeah.
a few
Yeah,
months
that's
ago.
one thing. Yeah,
Made a big
that
difference.
I remember reading that a couple years ago about digestion and how even before you take your first bite, when you smell it, it starts. So
Yeah.
I started being really mindful of that. And then I started noticing on prep, because you don't get much food. I was shoveling food in my mouth, and that's when I would
Yeah.
notice more gut issues. So I just started going back to like chewing it. And like you said, so I had a question. So you said 5 or 6 nasal breaths. So it's in through the nose, and then can you exhale through the mouth?
Yeah, exhaling through the mouth is fine. It's the diaphragmic breathing that really starts to activate your nervous system. So, like anything that can activate your vagus nerve, because your vagus nerve runs all the way up through here. So if you get headaches or like stabbing pain through here, that's your vagus nerve telling you, hey, calm down. It goes to your heart and then down through the gut. So it runs throughout your entire system.
Mhm.
But if you can activate it through here or through the ear, great nervous system regulator. So like gargling with salt water before bed, huge player in trying to like hum and activate this right here. It shuts off when there's gut dysfunction. So a lot of my dysfunctional people, like I don't know if either of you saw, but like I posted about how I have some of my people hum in the morning.
Yeah,
Uh, I sing at the top of my lungs every fucking day when I'm driving to work
I
because
saw that.
yeah.
I saw that, and you know what's funny? You were singing Fall Out Boy, and what I did is I put on Fall Out Boy on the way to my Italian lesson and sang out loud. Because I actually remember, so a couple months ago, Brittany knows this, but I went through like a really anxious time, and I
Mhm.
was like, it was when I was going through the health stuff, and I was super anxious about it because it's very scary. And I
Mhm.
remember Brittany was like, do you like even find enjoyment or like sing a song out loud? Like, can you even do that? And I was like, I'm not even doing that. You know, like when you're so in a fight or flight state, like you're not going to be able to belt out and sing. So the other day I did the Fall Out Boy, and I was like, okay, I'm feeling like better. And also, I was like,
Oh,
I haven't listened to
yay.
Fall Out Boy in a long time, and I thought of Brittany too because I was like, okay, because it was kind of sad if someone's like, Kate, you sing a song, and I was like,
Mhm.
are you even happy listening to the music you like? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I think it did make a big difference.
Mhm. It makes a big difference even just because like so the voice or the vibration of our voice when we're not talking, we're keeping those like going to like Chinese medicine, we're keeping those emotions down, right? And so we're blocking this area, and so that shuts it off. The less we use our voices, the less that this thing gets stimulated. So,
Mm.
like, even just for people that are anxious, don't want to sing, don't want to do all those things, go out when you're walking outside. If you're alone, talk to yourself out loud, get your thoughts out, get your emotions out, right? Things as simple as that are super duper regulating. I have a woman who we're working on like fixing her rosacea, and her symptoms have gone down just after talking to herself outside because the her anxiety has dipped quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. I think back in the day, I would be like, I don't know if that would even work for me. But now I'm a little bit more of a believer in it for just going through that and implementing, a few of these things I've been trying to hum. Because I think do, if your neck's tight, could that affect your vagus nerve? Because I have like TMD and tight neck and
Oh,
all that stuff. So I'm like, is my like vagus nerve being like pinched and stuff? So I've been doing a lot of stretches, massages, like laying back on something. But I mean, it's all these things that you wouldn't realize affect each other. And then if you become a little bit more aware of like where you're tight or where you're feeling things, um, you can kind of figure out what's going on. But I was kind of wondering that if you're of tight neck could affect the nerve.
it's more of like bringing more body awareness.
Hmm.
That can it can totally affect it because it's like tweaked in a certain way.
Hmm.
So I would, if you could, like if you have any fascial scrapers, probably scrape around both sides and release it, like just gently. Don't go hard at all,
Right.
and that'll kind of like move some things around. Because if you're tight neck, then you got to look at like lymphatic stuff too, and look at all of those things that like down cascade from there. I would definitely probably try to address that as you are, and then just keep moving with that, and then just keep giving yourself stillness, like giving your body safety signals of whatever makes your body feel safe is the best thing that anyone can do for themselves, even if it's just 5 minutes of just sitting, doing nothing, staring off into space. It's fine. That's great.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
does the gargling at salt water that stimulates the vagus nerve at night, you're saying?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
you can
try
do
that.
that morning or night. I like doing it at night because when you stimulate your vagus nerve and it's not been connected or not been um, activated in a while, right? In that way, it can make you pretty tired.
Okay. I'll
So
definitely try that tonight and get back to
yeah,
you.
Yeah. What about for, let's say you're a strongman or a bodybuilder, you go really hard in the gym or you had a really heavy session. How would you, what's a advice on how to regulate after you train?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, Depends on the person. I think it's really dependent on like how they are, because there's some people like I would just want them to do deep nasal breathing in like a small, or not a small, a quiet area. But some people are not as regulated, so they're like, oh, that's stupid. So something like a vitamin C and L-theanine post training, and then they can like go and relax, have their post training meal somewhere quiet. That's also a great mover to help regulate, because we're just stimulating GABA and we're lowering inflammation right after training.
Yeah, that's great. I actually have been taking L-theanine at night, and it's making a big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Have you tried the 3 grams of glycine?
No, I haven't. But someone was talking about that the other day. Something about
Hmm.
glycine.
Yeah,
So three
that
grams of glycine.
3 grams of glycine with 200 mgs of L-theanine knocks everybody out. Like deep sleep.
Brittany, write that down.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've done that. I take that with like
Really?
tart cherry juice. Yeah, yeah, I do all
Oh my
that stuff.
gosh. Have you tried L-theanine?
Yeah,
You have? I
yeah, I
love
take
it.
L-theanine at night. Hmm.
Do you have pretty
I
good
love
sleep?
that.
No.
No, is it pretty bad?
No, my sleep has been an issue that's like since I was a little kid. It's definitely hormonally driven because sometimes in some parts of my cycle it's fine, and I'm always doing different things, and I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it, but I will because we're authentic and honest on here. I've tried, everything. I don't like being on sleep medications, obviously, just because
Yeah,
I
of
don't
course
like
not.
taking RX. So then I'll just switch, and I know it's not great for you, but Benadryl seems to work pretty good for me. I know there's long term side effects, but I try to weigh it out like, okay, if I don't sleep at all, is it going to be okay? And then, so I go through, yeah, I try different stuff like almost every night. Nothing seems to like be magic. Something will work for a little while.
Mhm.
And I even try the whole like, I don't touch my phone an hour before bed. I'll go out and look at the moonlight and deep breathing. Like, I try everything. It's just kind of been, and I'll be so tired too, but then I just can't fall asleep.
Do you you don't have to answer, we can talk more like at a different date if you want to, but I have some modalities if you ever want to talk about that.
Yeah,
They
for
might
sure.
they
I'll
might
try
not.
to.
Okay.
Awesome. I guess wrapping up like the CNS stuff. When we say my CNS is fried, like what does that mean? Or is that a thing?
It's definitely a thing. It can look like a lot of different variants for people. Normally, in strength athletes, bodybuilders, it looks like it's really hard for you to even get up. You're waking up either super wired or super tired, never in the middle. Because your CNS will dump you all over the place to try and give you like, oh hey, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, right? So when it's taxed, your body and your mind and everything about you will be all over the place. You'll be tired one minute, you'll be excited the next. Like it's a very like emotional roller coaster, so to speak. So like I would even like jump to say that I feel like a lot of people that have like a bipolar or like a mental disorder are probably just severely taxed nervous system wise.
I think about that a lot too, with how I've felt with my anxiety or depression, and how I can correlate it to um, certain health issues going on, or certain like preps or something like that. It's just very interesting. Um, where and not saying that not like that the health disorders don't exist or anything like that. Morrisly saying that I think they could be helped a lot by someone looking at certain lifestyle things, or um, how to improve like sleep quality, um, etc. So yeah, awesome, very interesting.
I quick note on that. I had a woman, so I saw her in person, and I did a little bit of body work through her neck. She had a issue where type 1 diabetic, diagnosed at 30, from a traumatic injury, a traumatic event. So her pancreas shut down. her inflammation and trying to navigate that was so rough that her arm right here basically was dead. It was in a cast. She could move her hands, but she couldn't move it without extreme amounts of pain. Um, the doctor told her it was a diabetes issue, which it didn't help. But what it was a stress issue, because I looked at her and her neck was like this all the time. We opened that up. We got her lymph system draining a little bit more. She can now use it every which way, no problem. And it was essentially just a stress response. Stress response. So it's very
Wow.
real.
I know. It's when,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
No, I was gonna ask. So I have $1 million question. So, because I know we could talk about this for hours because there's so many, like figuring out the
Yeah.
root cause. But for the person listening, I'm sure they're an athlete. They're like, okay, maybe I have some gut dysfunction. I definitely have my CNS is fried, as we said. I know we talked about the gargling the water, breathing before you eat, 5 to 6 deep nasal breaths, walking, sunlight, sauna. Everyone wants to know how long it takes. And I think the problem, like you said at the beginning of the episode, is every athlete wants to go harder, harder, harder. And it can be the hardest thing in the world to say, like, okay, you need time off. What are some indicators? Like, how long does it take? I know everyone's different, but when you're working with a client, like, what's a realistic expectation? Because no athlete is going to not work out
Mm-hmm.
and not do a little bit of something.
A realistic expectation is like you give me, I want to say like three weeks of your time, and depends on how hard they want to go with recovery modalities. So I can guarantee we can push it out by like get a lot of healing done in 2 weeks. But if we do the right things to really drive it home, but on average, we're looking at probably a healed system, nervous system wise, 1 to 5 weeks.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
that's not nearly as long as I thought. Because,
mm,
yeah. Sometimes
it,
people
it
say like, "Oh, they have to take months off."
No, so the big thing is if the it depends on the severity, of course, but like so far, what I've seen is if we do all of the right things in combatants with each other, we're getting back to training pretty damn hard within like maximum of 5 weeks. Now there are cases, and I've had a decent amount of them that are pretty rough, and it's taken a lot longer. It's taken like months to get back of like making your body feel safe, doing all the things, but it's because they've driven the hammer down so hard that they don't know what safe and good actually feel like anymore. So we have to retrain all of those things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, so moving, and it's just interesting for you to say that too, because it makes you think like, what makes me feel safe? What, you kind of
Yeah.
just we're always so go, go, go,
Mm-hmm.
and of course so goals driven. It's definitely hard to take your time for yourself. And believe me, you will once you hit that wall.
Yeah. Big
That's
time.
what happens. We never do it like proactively, right? You're getting someone in the depths of usually probably of, they're going through it. But anyway, I'm kind of going back to when I first met you, was with Erin Murray, and it was at the
Mm-hmm.
Arnold. And I
Yep.
believe she had already done the 160 class OSG
Yes.
earlier, right?
Yeah.
And then she went into open, and, not saying that, well, she had to, get stronger and she had to first cut down the 160 and then
Mm-hmm.
go up. What is your biggest challenge in that kind of process as a coach? You don't have to be that specific with her. I don't want to like
Yeah.
overstep with like private information, but you can make it more general if you'd like. But how, how'd you do it? And
It was so I'll preface it with this. She told me she wanted to do this, and I was
Mhm.
kind of like, "Fuck off, you're serious." So that was the real rough part of like realizing, okay, you got to go from 160, and then we're going to compete in the Arnold, and realistically, all of these women are like over 200 pounds in the open. Like they're big, strong women. So I'm like, okay, so we got to get you close up to like 195, 200 pounds, and so 40 pounds in 12 weeks of like usable tissue. And the biggest thing I guess I'll say is keeping her psyche together. we were checking in pretty religiously, trying to make sure that everything was going well. Because when you gain, I mean, uh, I don't know if either of you have like gained a good amount of weight in a short amount of time, but like it hurts. It's not fun. It is probably like the most uh, one of the most mentally damaging things you can do, because you go from like 160 class. Erin has abs and she looks like extremely jacked. She looks like she could almost, be a bodybuilder, right? And
Right.
then she goes from to like 196 basically in the span of 12 weeks, and you're looking at like, you're like, I feel like I can't even move because I'm so big now.
She was
Yeah.
still so solid though, and I'm gonna link the episode of Erin below this. So for anyone, make sure you go back and listen because she talks a lot about what that was like too. But yeah, no, she was still pretty. I was impressed. I have gained a significant amount of weight in a short period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and I did it the right way. It wasn't like her. It was like 18 pounds, but it was, yeah, definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. And that was about a year ago, and I still don't want to eat like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a rough time. So we were just it was basically just kind of like monitoring the situation and making sure like
Mhm.
nothing got too painful, because when you get that big, the first thing to go normally is like shoulders and back, right? Because your body isn't normally used to holding on to that much weight. So like you get a lot of nerve pain through here. You get like a lot of damage because you're just putting on so much tissue.
Yeah. And she's a pro. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
she's like phenomenal athlete. But, I have clients come to me who might want to cut weight for a show. What are your recommendations on that? Who should or shouldn't cut weight?
Are you talking about water cut or like cutting weight to make a class?
I would say, like, cutting. I guess, like, because I remember for the OSG, Erin did have to water cut, right,
Mhm.
to that. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when we have to water cut to. Um,
Hmm. So water cutting is a very delicate process. You have to, especially for like athletes of any nature, the more dysregulated the athlete, the harder it is to water cut. So the more nervous they
me,
get, yeah, exactly. So the more nervous you get, the more you freak out, the more your body will hold on to the water. And of course, there's tricks and tips for that, but um, that is more of the athlete that probably should just stay in a certain weight class or what they need to, because we
mhm.
want to feel good going into competition. I mean, Brittany, for bodybuilding, if you stress out, you're going to look like shit. Like
Cold water, yeah.
that's how it goes, right? Um, so I think that people that can trust the process and are regulated enough can totally do a water cut. But if you're not, it's usually going to be the worst.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
I
don't
can
usually
relate.
I used to do a lot of water cuts with people in strongman, and I wouldn't let someone do a water cut unless they've done a dieting phase with me prior. Because it's not the water cut that's the issue, it's
Mhm.
after that I worry about. Yeah.
Exactly, that's really important. And we it's a good point too, because like you do want to feel good when you compete. And usually, if a client wants to cut a lot of weight to get to a weight class, it's just because it's they're going to be performing with lighter weights, but sometimes a little more patience and growing into the class might be better for them as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was just wondering because you've been on both ends with Erin or maybe like another client who might not respond as well with that. I know for me with water cuts, I'm not freaking out about the water cuts. I usually end up like I've tried so many different water manipulation things
Mhm.
and my body just holds on to water and I always just end up sweating in a hot bath. And it's not that I'm stressed during the process. I think it's probably just the general stress, and hormones holding on to the
Yeah,
water.
big time.
So, definitely knowing the athlete first is important. Like Brittany said, like if you do a diet phase with them before, you kind of know how they fluctuate and respond
Mhm.
to things too. Um, so I guess you already gave us a wild story about athlete extreme cuts
Yeah.
and bulks. Is there any way to, I guess, the right way to approach a cut in general, not a water cut, without wrecking your gut or nervous system?
I genuinely think if now this might be a bit of a hot take, but normally, especially for like women, I like to keep my fats higher in a cut, and I'll actually cut protein more before I cut fat. Um, Fat has so many aids in regulatory process for hormones and satiation. And overall, it's fantastic for you as long as you're getting it from good sources. So when you come down in food, because calories in, calories out is not a real thing, but you'll find that you'll probably have more energy, be more satiated, and feel a little bit better. And I feel like that is one of the safer ways to usually cut down on weight.
Can you explain the calories in, calories out isn't a real thing?
So when we look at how was it like a metabolic process works, right? If you have Graves, or you have Hashimoto's, or you have other issues, or you have gut dysfunction, you're not absorbing food properly. So, or you're not able to absorb certain amounts of food. So calories in, calories out doesn't always matter, because if your person is dysfunctional, then they're not absorbing the food anyway, or they're only able to process a certain amount of food. So that means that the calories they might be intaking might be too much, even though you've measured a certain wow. So healing the system with micronutrients and looking more at macronutrients of what they're eating and getting more data on them will always matter more than, oh, I only ate 1,200 calories worth of Oreos, but I'm still losing weight.
Exactly. I remember last week I posted something on my story about going to low carb or to low calorie, and what happens there. Do you basically when people are, you're in a chronic low energy availability state for a long time or long enough for your particular body
Mm-hmm.
to respond, it starts to downregulate different hormones and bring that cortisol up. I definitely have been a victim to that circumstance, and it is just your body trying to protect you.
Yeah.
But do you work with athletes around that process? And because you did like thumbs up that story, so I was like, okay, he knows it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. It's a really, again, like you said, it's a person dependent process. So that's the big thing, is we have to identify like what's really going on, how much is your body trying to protect you, like all of, and understand what the process of what's actually going on. But once we find that out, and we can make the body feel safe, as well as maybe help regulate certain systems, it's a walk in the park.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people who might be frustrated, they're like, why am I not getting results?
Mm-hmm.
Just no, it's not always all about beating yourself up in the gym and not doing more cardio. If you're not getting results and you're really tracking all your foods and eating so little, and it's not working, then you got to try something else. It's not
Yeah.
working.
I
So
generally, like, over the last couple of years, even before, like, I was focusing on all this gut stuff. Um, so many people were coming to me and being like, "Oh yeah, well, hey, this is a lot of food. I don't know if I can eat this." And I'm like, "Okay, give it like a month, right?" And they'll fluctuate up. They'll get mad. They'll freak out at me, right? And then their body starts going back down, because you've given it enough time for it to realize, "Hey, you're not gonna starve us again. That's cool. So let me help you
That
with that."
if there's one wish I had in life, it would be to like, and that's my goal, to teach other women that food, it does work like that. And it took me like 15 years to
Yeah.
learn that, because even when I was doing strongman, I kind of always had this, I was a runner growing up. So I kind of always had this like bad relationship with food, where I was like, okay, I gotta do more cardio if I want to eat that much. And then I would train strongman and do ace sushi and then feel guilty about it. And
Hmm.
it's crazy because I fully bought into that about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and it is crazy because now my body composition is like, I look like I'm still ready for the stage, and it's actually frustrating because I am eating so much
Yeah.
that I don't want to keep eating, but I'm
Yeah.
still like my body comp. And even the other day I told my partner, like, help me coach, like I coach myself but he coaches me
Mhm.
as well, like we do things, and I was like, I should still be doing cardio for heart health. And he's like, you walk enough, it's fine, you're too lean, you don't need to do anymore. And I'm like, well, cardiovascular, I need to get my heart rate up. I want it to be at least 120 to 140. He's like, no, just walk for now. He's like, you're not, your heart is healthy. And it's such a weird concept. So I'm so glad you said that, because that is exactly how it works. Like, at first you're going to gain a little bit of weight, but then if you really commit to that, eventually you will, it's like a furnace. Your body will respond. And I don't believe in the whole age thing. You know how there's some people that are like, oh, your metabolism slows down at this
Doesn't
age.
happen.
It's like, not if you're an athlete and moving. It doesn't work like that. So I'm so
Mm-mm.
happy you said that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love all this talk because I feel like my eyes are opening to all these things as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, we are hitting about an hour already, so I want to keep you all day. So I do have a fun question for you, and maybe Brittany has a fun question too, and then we'll ask you our closing question. But
Okay.
I know since you have on Instagram, you'll talk about gut health and wear a silly mustache.
Mhm.
I was wondering, like, if you had to have one mustache for the rest of your life, would it be, or like, would you have to choose from Salvador Dali with the little, or
Yeah.
a Hulk Hogan mustache?
Oh, man, I'm going Hey Brother all day with the
Oh
Hulk
my
Hogan
gosh.
mustache.
I was like, that seems more fitting for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And my question isn't that fun. It's, I guess, more serious. But is there a certain type of food or meal that you pretty much always put on clients' food plans, pending they have no allergies, like one superfood?
If they have no allergies, it's very specific. It's a warm meal, but it's usually like some type of beef meal
Okay.
because normally those people that are dysfunctional are lacking many nutrients, and beef is like one of the best of like all the worlds.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. So the closing question, if you could give one message to athletes dealing with hidden dysfunction or dysfunction in general, what would it be?
Your body is not broken. It's asking you to slow down and listen. And you don't need harder training. You need a lot more of smarter recovery.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with that. So, anyway, Spencer, I'm sure there's someone out there listening who really relates to this. Where can they find you or inquire a little bit more about coaching?
I'm King the Kind across all platforms. On Instagram, it's King the Kind with a underscore. But if you type that in, you can pretty much find me anywhere. And I'm even on like YouTube Shorts, I think.
Yeah. I'll link it in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much for
Spencer.
coming on. It was a
Of course.
lot. My eyes are very open right now. I'm gonna go red light now.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys.
Bye.